Thanks for sticking with us. So now I want to turn to a Real America exclusive, a sit-down, face-to-face extended interview with an amazing author, the founder of the group Every Black Life Matters, an organization that Kevin McGary created in response to the BLM movement to get the truth out there. You know, as more time passes, Black Lives Matter is being uncovered as an incompetent and corrupt organization. As it's been reported on this show and multiple other news outlets, the BLM organization has never followed through on any of its objectives to try and help the black community. It has kept nearly all of the money it was given in way of donations by the hardworking American people. And I'm talking millions upon millions, folks. You're going to hear from Kevin why Black Lives Matter, by excluding lives of other members of other races, is in fact a racist movement. And is not only racist, but communist. The movement is led by self-avowed communists and Marxists, and that is a fact. Here now, part one of our interview with Kevin McGary. Kevin, thank you so much for coming in studio to talk to us.
Awesome,
I really appreciate it. You know, in your lead up here, I was telling the folks that I was so moved. I took my family to my local church in San Diego, California, Awaken, which is this amazing place.
Amazing.
I'm still surprised to this day that we have a church like that in California in 2022. And I think you understand and my viewers understand why I make a statement like that. Because most folks think when you say California, they of course quickly go, you mean California?
Right.
They can't believe there are good, God-fearing Christian conservatives in this state. But by golly, some were born and raised here.
Yes.
Like you.
Yes.
Let's go to your background first, because I want to get up to this amazing organization that you started. But I think people need to know who Kevin McGary is, where you come from, your background. So can you give us a little history of Kevin?
So I was actually born in abject poverty in San Francisco. So, and if anybody's familiar with the Hunters Point project housing, that's where I was born. And for the first 7 years or so of my life. In project housing in 1960, the Hunters Point project housing was where the Black Panthers, it was their headquarters up there. So it's that kind of a community, right? So,
gotcha.
So first 7 years or so of my life, I was up there, and then parents moved to a lower middle class community in San Francisco, and so I grew up, you know, just kind of an urban dweller, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, you know, in the streets, and it was, you know, just a straight urban dweller type living. I was a bad boy, and fortunately, I never had to, you know, had any altercations with the law. But, you know, by God's grace, I was protected. But I was not proud of the things that I got involved in growing up here in San Francisco. So it's typical boys in the hood, boy in the street kind of a thing. So, but
both parents in the home.
Both parents in the home, but you know. My father, he was, you know, all of my formative years, he had some alcoholism issues. But the good thing is, he came home every single night. So even though he had these issues that he had to deal with all my formative years, he came home every single night, which really kept me in school and kept me trying to get good grades, which I did. And fortunately for mother and father, mighty men and women of God, and 62 years married, still live in San Francisco, and just incredible people. Dad started, you know, doing some real estate brokerage stuff. He owns multiple buildings in San Francisco. He's great. But that period in my life, it was, you know. But here's what happened: because he came home every night, I got good grades. Now, what happened when I graduated was I said, okay, I have pretty good grades. Why don't I just go to college? So I went to San Jose State. I didn't really know. I'm not an engineering mind, so I really didn't know what to major in. But I said sociology, right? So here you got a guy that's steeped in abject poverty, urban dweller. You know, basically goes to San Jose State, then gets a full Marxist education, right? Because sociology is all it is, right? Right. And then you know, the reality is that that's my upbringing, and so I was always voting and participating civically from a tradition of that kind of background, which was, you know, primarily just leftist progressive Democrat, right? That's me.
I mean, you were pushed into that.
Pushed into that.
Washed on that campus.
Yeah.
Is this the late 70s, early 80s? When is this?
This is actually early 80s.
Early 80s. Okay.
So I graduated in 83.
Gotcha.
And then, so I came out and found the love of my life. We've been married 35 years. Okay. And we just decided, you know, we said, look, you know, we've been kind of, you know, living this kind of up and down, in and out kind of Christian life. Why don't we just dedicate ourselves to the Lord, just live a real pure, you know, just strictly biblically. But what that did for us is we were discipled in you know, when the people that were discipling us had us look at all kinds of areas of our life. And in particular, we felt that divinely inspired that the area of civic engagement needed a sincere look. So we said, look, we never looked at, you know, parties or anything like that. We just voted traditionally. But when we took a look at it, because we looked at the platforms, we were flabbergasted because it was like, I can't believe I've been voting in ways that disempower the community that I supposedly care so much about. So that was a real pivot point in our lives. And,
so can I draw, let me draw a conclusion here. So you're saying when you and your wife found the Lord and decided to dedicate your life to your Christian beliefs and faith, you realized that those earlier years, teens and 20s, when you were voting a certain way, a certain party, Democrats, that appealed to the black community, who said they helped the black community, you all of a sudden saw the light in more than one way. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So go from there and get us to your organization. Because you've been on this program before, and I hope folks recognize you for Every Black Life Matters.
Yes.
And was this a counterpunch to BLM, or was this a statement from Kevin saying, this needs to be done for my community, for my people to get the truth out? What was that? Tell me how you got
there. So once we began to see things sort of conservatively, we're not ideological in the sense that we have to vote Republican or have to, you know, but it's whoever lines biblically is kind of how we do it. So, and it just happens to be Republican all the time. But here's the thing. When we saw BLM, everybody saw the George Floyd, you know, situation, 9 minutes and 43 seconds of him losing his life in that way. And it was traumatic for everybody, I think.
Sure, nobody does.
You know, we were grief-stricken and sorrowful. But when we saw BLM literally partnering with Antifa, a true white supremacist organization, and the reason why I say white supremacist is 99% of Antifa are white, number one. Number two, 90+% of them live in the suburbs. This is what they've done some studies, and this is what they found. Now, here's the problem. They go with BLM to the black community and burn down black and brown businesses. That's truly supremacist, right? It's white supremacist. You come to our community, if you were sincere about just trying to destroy communities, stay in suburbia and burn down your businesses and all of those businesses and your homes right near you. Why are you coming to our community and burning down our black and brown businesses and specifically targeting? And so it was appalling when we saw like BLM partnering with Antifa and doing all this crazy stuff. But what was worse than that is we had a lot of pastors, preachers, clergy members saying, look, go out, you know, with BLM and let them know how we feel. And I thought, well, this is beyond the pale. So BLM was, by their own admission, a revolutionary Marxist organization. By their own admission, they don't want fathers. By their own admission, they really don't respect the nuclear family. And so we had all of these things that really don't align biblically, but yet we had biblical people, supposedly, saying, hey, go out and you know, participate with them in the streets.
I remember that.
And it was just appalling. And then a lot of churches put the black squares and the BLM signs on their front edifice.
They were almost guilting you.
Yeah.
And if you were a white person and you didn't put the square up and you didn't agree with BLM and what BLM, as you said, partner with Antifa, were doing in the streets of St. Louis and Waukesha and New York and Chicago, then you were a racist if you didn't agree with
it. And
that.
it was ridiculous. So here's what we did. So we said, look, we need a righteous and faithful alternative to Black Lives Matter, okay? So we decided to start Every Black Life Matters, okay? That statement does a couple of things. First of all, it illuminates the fact that blacks are targeted in the womb. The reason why I say that is when Margaret Sanger started Planned Parenthood, the reason why she started was she says, we don't want the word to get out, but we want to fully exterminate the Negro population. She was a eugenicist, right?
Yes.
So, and unfortunately, they've been very successful at that, right? So, because blacks are being born at this rate and all other ethnicities are being born at this rate. So we have a real problem. We have blacks literally being targeted in the womb and exterminated, right? And so we started Every Black Life Matters because we believe that all lives matter and every life matters. And when I say that to people, I say, well, why didn't you just say all that? Well, that is what we're saying. We're saying, look, we're being born at this rate. Other ethnicities born at this rate. Every black life matters too. Yeah. It's a statement of equality, not a statement of superiority.
And you're tackling the abortion issue.
Absolutely.
What Democrats have done to the black community
Absolutely.
since the 20s, 30s, since Planned Parenthood began.
Absolutely.
I got to take a quick commercial break.
Yeah.
Can you stick around, Kevin?
Stick around.
So much more to discuss, from CRT to the true meanings
Yes.
of BLM, where all that cash went,
Yeah.
and what you're doing with your amazing organization.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan.
Right back with the founder of Every Black Life
Matters. There you go.
Kevin McGary. Stick with us, will you,
Thank you.
please? We'll be right back.